Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I have a bit of MMA news, which I will discuss. The news is that Donald Cerrone has decided to part ways with his longtime gym, formerly Jackson's MMA, and now Jackson and Wink MMA. This all is coming up about, with Cerrone having an up-and-coming fight with Mike Perry, a new member of Jackson Wink MMA. This is also a large part of the reason for the fallout between Cerrone and Jackson and Wink MMA. Everything seemed to be cool, leading up to the fight. At first, no one had any issue with the two fighters training at the same camp or at least under the same banner because Cerrone has his own private gym on his ranch. So it's not like he spends too much time at their gym, whereas Perry primarily trains there now. He switched gyms and he trains at Jackson Wink's pretty much I guess I would say at least 80% of the time. He's not at some other gym. He's at Jackson's and Wink or training with Jackson and Wink affiliated people. But let's say, so this is also not the first time Cerrone would be facing a former training partner or some sort of training partner he has history with. As he fought and defeated former longtime Jackson Wink MMA fighter Melvin Guillard years back, and they had many years of training together, but Melvin Guillard was training under Black Zillions at the time of the fight, so he wasn't necessarily training with Greg Jackson fighters who would give any insight on Cerrone. He was at a whole new gym with whole new different fighters, maybe some of the same fighters, but really different fighters. So I guess there's a difference there. As far as this whole situation now, Cerrone drew more issue with the fact that Perry will be training and sparring with people whom he had trained with for decades, and they could impart knowledge of his weaknesses or maybe different little insights onto Perry. So maybe Cerrone had some issue with that. Cerrone personally asked Greg Jackson for them to not train Perry, but ultimately Jackson and Wink decided to train Perry over Cerrone because he pays both Wink and Jackson, whereas Cerrone only pays and has a connection with Jackson. He doesn't really like Winklejohn at all. Jackson did offer to go to Cerrone's personal gym and train him, but Cerrone felt slighted by the fact that he wasn't welcome at the gym and the fact that they chose a new fighter of the gym, who just came to the gym over him, whereas Cerrone has been at the gym for decades, well, at least over a decade. So then at this point, Cerrone decided to part ways with the gym. After more than a decade and dozens of fights training under the Greg Jackson banner, he decided to part ways. And at this point, Cerrone just decided to let everything out. He just decided to air everything out. First, he was sounding like there was no issue at the gym. Everything was cool. Everybody was happy. But at this point, Cerrone, I guess I'm leaving the gym. Let me just reveal some skeletons. At this point, Cerrone decided, I'm going to air it out. He said that he pretty much put all the blame on the lack of success the gym has been having as far as competitively wise over the past couple of years on Coach Winklejohn, saying that before the merger between Winklejohn and Greg Jackson, the gym was doing well. Then Winklejohn came over and he ruined everything. He said he made the gym soft, was more focused on business, chased away a lot of the big name fighters, a lot of the pros, and allowed literal bums to come off the street and put on gear and train. I don't know how much how much of this is true. Maybe they aren't bums. Maybe there's people who just maybe amateur fighters or maybe pros who don't have big names or maybe something. I don't know. Or maybe they're not hobo bums. Maybe they're just people who don't have any real training, training people that are literal newbies. But who knows? It came out of his mouth, but he didn't really explain it too much. But I guess he just saying people that aren't really at first they have to be kind of standards to who could come over. It was probably big name fighters. Now it's the bar has been set much lower. Like I said, I don't know how valid any of these arguments are, but it certainly is valid that the team has not been nearly as successful as they once were as far as the competition aspect. And they aren't as far as the competition aspect, and they aren't a dominant powerhouse like they once were. At first they were just they weren't, not only were they stars, but they were all on big winning streaks, just dominating their division. Maybe they might not all been champions, but they were all people were number one contenders, getting title shots after title shots in all different weight classes. Now it just seemed like they really drained up. It's still a lot of good Greg Jackson and Wink fighters, but they are going 500 or below 500 at this point. It's not really, they're not dominant like they once were. At first they were dominant, just watching everybody becoming champions or number one contenders or interim champions, but now it's definitely not the same. And even the fighters who weren't champions, they were at least having positive records. Now the whole gym is just kind of just not doing well. Like I said, the gym might be financially better than they ever have been before, might have technically improved overall. The skill set of the fighters might improve, the training might improve, they might got smarter with the training methods, and fighter skill sets like it might have improved, but they aren't winning. That's the most important thing. They aren't winning. You could say that's because their fighters are at the top and fighting the best, like the very best at every single time they're going out there. But still, that would not be a good excuse. Also, the team as a whole, including the lower tier fighters, like I'm saying, the fighters who are fighting in regional scenes and second tier leagues that aren't UFC or maybe not even Bellator, maybe not even PFL, those not even those fighters, like the fighters that's fighting, like I said, regional. The whole team as a whole has a losing record over the past several years. So it's no excuse of saying like it's because their competition is so good and it's acceptable to lose. It's never acceptable to lose. It's definitely an issue there. The whole team has a negative record over the past couple of years. The gym best. So let's just kind of just look more into it. Like their best fighter the gym has ever had hasn't lost in the cage as far as the Matt Hamill lost, but yeah, hasn't lost inside the cage. But he's been taking numerous losses in the courtroom. And that fighter being John Jones. A lot of their fighters are getting older, and a lot of their fighters are training in other gyms or leaving the gym. I think the gym did become too open to the public, which made it become more quantity over quality, which means fighters aren't really getting that one-on-one time to train with the main coaches that much or nor establish that bond that you really need between coaches and fighters. So they're becoming more numbers than fighters, more numbers than individuals. They might be technically more proficient in skill, maybe. Like, I think the game is always involved, and I see a lot of fighters that look more technical. You look at the fighters now, they're more technical than they were back then. Even though the fighters back then might have been bigger stars, they're more technical now, but they aren't winning. Like, the skills have improved, but the mindset and the connection is not really there. And that's really a huge part of why they aren't winning like they were in the past. And like I said, it's because of the connection, but I definitely agree with Cerrone on the fact that the gym has dipped down in quality, definitely as far as winning goes. But as far as maybe the management of the gym, is it that bad? I don't know. I think financially they're doing well, but I think definitely they had to do something about their record, like, because they're forming a little bit as far as the competition aspect of it's going, because they aren't winning. But that's about all I got to say for this video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and come back for more videos. Also, start a dialogue in the comment section. Talk about, do you feel that the gym has pretty much dipped down in quality? Do you think it's better, or do you think it improved? Do you think it's just natural that every gym goes through these phases where they aren't as successful as they once were, and then they just bounce back, maybe waiting on some new fighters to butt in? I definitely see some Jackson Wink fighters who haven't really busted into the UFC yet, but I see a lot of talented fighters that haven't really got on the big scene left yet, like in the UFC, but right on the cusp of coming in. So maybe that it will change up. It maybe just take a little bit of time, but as far as right now, it definitely isn't there right now where it should be. But like I said, that's all. Peace.